Welcome to NAB in the Grass Valley booth here at the South Floor, SL 106. We're going to talk today with Brian Bedford. He is the Global Business Development Manager for Cisco, who has a partnership with Grass Valley. So Brian, what do you do?
It's a good question. I'll try to simplify it. So my role at Cisco is really to think about Cisco through a vertical lens. We're really built with lots of products and services and tools that really fit multiple different markets, right? Whether it be financial services or healthcare or retail and whatnot. And I look after the industry from a partner go-to-market perspective in the areas of retail, sports, and media. So obviously today we're talking a lot about media, some sports today, but a lot about media and media production. And so how we enable partners to take our products to market, partnerships and ecosystem partners like Grass Valley that we need to enable solutions that we have to market, and then ultimately how do we programmatically do that in a scalable fashion so that we can reach as many customers as possible.
So Cisco's presence here at NAB has evolved throughout the years.
Sure.
And has grown, and so what is driving that focus? What drives you into this marketplace?
Sure, Cisco's really has a history of looking for market transitions. We've used the analogy a lot this week around the move to IP and broadcast is very similar to what was happening 15 to 20 years ago around voice and IP telephony. And for us, we view this move to IP and cloud-based workflows is very, very much in our wheelhouse. It's very, very aligned to our core mission. It matches and aligns to the core principles technology-wise and partnership-wise that really align to what we're doing in our other businesses, quite frankly. And so it really, for us, it's not as uncomfortable as maybe it is for the broadcast industry because we've kind of been there, done that. We've seen these transitions happening. We know that this will work. We know that it will. And so that is certainly the beginning piece of it. The second piece is as you see standards bodies and organizations like AIMS and whatnot that we're both part of, you're seeing these things come about. It aligns the market now to say we can move forward. We have confidence, and so it also allows us to make a strategic investment into saying the industry's ready for us to be part of it. So we've really tried to take a very strategic approach to the partnerships, the solutions, and our role in the standards bodies, and that's led to kind of our role in what we're doing and the positioning that we're taking to market here at NAB this year.
So as you talk to people here in broadcast and in media, what are the common themes that you're hearing?
Yeah, I think it's a handful of things. Certainly the move, interest operationally and business-wise to IP and the changing of workflows and the differences that's doing, again, both commercially and operationally, that's a no-brainer. That feels like kind of the low-hanging fruit in the industry right now. A couple years ago it was, oh my goodness. Now I think we're past that, and it's more of the conversations today are about content experiences. I've felt that even in your booth and conversations that I've had. In our booth, the customers are asking a deeper level of conversation because they're just expecting that, as an example, Grass Valley, you got it figured out, and so they're asking us a different level of question. I think they're back to asking you the sweet spot questions around content delivery, which is probably good for all of us. Like we kind of back in our lane, and it's good. The second piece of this is really around virtualized workflows and where that's a very different dynamic to this industry as we think about appliance-based or microservices that are being placed on a virtualized environment. We're going to see an uptick of that. That's ultimately what NAB will look like. It'll just be a bunch of microservices that will sit on an appliance. Hopefully it's Cisco UCS, but that's where we're really seeing the. Sorry, had to do the plug, but you get the point, which is now we're moving these and we're seeing pieces of the virtualized workflow that are in place today around asset management. We're seeing that. We're seeing the move to object storage that's happening. But as we get into more real life scenarios around virtualized playout, I had a meeting this morning around VR, AR, AI. Those kind of use cases are really going to drive more virtualized workflows, and it's going to offer some different flexibility. And so we're talking a lot about that. You'll see that in our booth today. The next piece would be around security, and certainly security has been, as you move these networks and the things that you're doing to IP, the need for security, thinking about security, both in your network and at your core, but also with external security measures to reduce hacking and those kind of pressures and those kind of threats. Those tend to be kind of the three major things that we're involved in when we think about the three kind of, what's driving the conversation in our booth. It's really those three things.
So Cisco recently began discussing four global trends in the media and entertainment industry. So let's talk about each of those for a moment.
Sure.
So first up is migrating live production IP across broadcast centers, venues, trucks. How is Cisco addressing market requirements relating to this trend?
Sure. I think there's a couple pieces to it, but the first is that we recognize that we did not want to disrupt the workflows that have been in this industry for decades now. We certainly wanted to be respectful of that, but we felt like there was added value that we could bring to the market that was what I like to kind of call below the line, and let our traditional partners like Grass Valley serve their customers in a very similar fashion that they've done historically. And so that's kind of been our approach when we think about the migration to IP. We've several years ago now, we introduced an architecture, a solution that we call IP Fabric for Media. And it's really around either in whatever environment, whether it's a modular chassis or a spine leaf architecture, that you have the ability to implement IP in a broadcast environment. Again, whether that's a truck, whether that's a stadium, whether that's a broadcast center, and oh, by the way, we've done that together with Grass Valley in all three of those areas. That gives us the ability to confidently provide that infrastructure with north and southbound APIs or protocols that partners like Grass Valley have been able to integrate with through an open SDK to then provide that abstraction layer to their end customer and provide the consistent tools and buttons and blinking lights that we're all used to. It allows that to stay the same, but allows the network abstraction to really be done through the fabric. And so that's been kind of a tenet of what we're doing in media. That's, again, what we're having just a significant amount of conversations about. And so that's kind of where we're headed around that. And again, we view that as that's why the standard's being ratified. That's why the open architecture is important, because it allows that interoperability to happen, and that's where we play.
Okay, so the second trend is accelerating media operations with content supply chains.
Yep.
Based on cloud and IP technology.
Sure.
So what do you mean by content supply chains?
Yeah, there's a lot there in that one statement. And I would say certainly we recognize, we're a piece of the puzzle. I think, if someone from Cisco or myself, represented as we're going to own the full, food chain or supply chain, I mean, that's a misconception. What we're seeing out there, though, more candidly, is hybrid and cloud-based workflows are now starting to accelerate in the marketplace. Pieces of cloud-based IP delivery or cloud asset management have been in place for several years now. That is not a new concept. That piece of it actually went to IP faster than other elements of it. But we're introducing, and you'll see it in our booth, right, different use cases. So we're introducing our Cloud Center application, leveraging our relationship with Google, as well as other object storage partners that are in our booth, are kind of showcasing different virtualized workflows. So again, whether that's all cloud, hybrid cloud, whatever the scenario is, because every situation is a little bit different, we're trying to showcase that we have different offerings into that marketplace, depending on where you want to pick up into that food stream. We are seeing a pretty significant move to what the industry kind of is calling object storage, and then the microservices or the workflows off of those objects being digitized, right? So it's broader than just asset management as you think about how that object's going to flow. And so it could be near live production, kind of like what we're doing here today. And how are we going to do that for play out, for asset tracking? Then you get into other things that could come about, right? Whether it's, how are you managing that asset through, from an AI perspective? How do you manage that? Or how are you thinking about any virtual reality, 3D, which is still out there to some degree? So it's, thinking through kind of virtualized workflows, and all of the different use cases are part of that. we're getting asked that question a lot. Now, I don't know if the industry's fully thinking about all of the different capabilities that are out there yet. That probably hasn't happened to the degree that maybe some of our customers want, but we're seeing that as a trend that's happening in the market, and I think over the next probably 2 to 3 years, that will be the conversation that NAB is really talking about. We will have advanced, because then it'll be, okay, it is IP, and we're past the, is it going to be IT? I think we're kind of past that now. That's what it feels like this year, and I think that conversation changes a little bit next year too.
Excellent. So third trend, evolving content distribution and collaboration with IP to engage audiences.
Yeah. Tell
us more about using IP and collaborate and to engage audiences.
Yeah, so I think we saw, I was with our NBC team account on Sunday, and they talked about how they leveraged collaboration to do multi-venue discussions, or water cooler talks for production and moving assets. You'll see an integration with our Spark platform to do, our WebEx platform that's integrating Facebook Live in a enterprise collaboration conferencing tool. Just as another way to do very inexpensive and easy to use streaming through an enterprise platform. You don't have to have a robust infrastructure when you've got, WebEx is built off of a cloud-based infrastructure already. So it's things like that people are seeing. They're leveraging different types of collaboration tools. Another example would be leveraging, NBC used this as saying they used our telepresence platforms to stand up and do interviews with athletes in the Olympic Village at Pyeongchang. And so it's thinking about different tools that, again, you may not have been able to, you may not have thought of from a broadcast perspective. Well, now, because of some of the tools that are in place with IP and cloud, you're now able to introduce them into a broadcast environment, whether it's live or near live, it doesn't matter. But those are things that, again, 5, 6 years ago we weren't doing, and now people are starting to introduce those things.
All right. Fourth trend, adopting security approaches across networks, data centers, devices, workflows. Yeah. That's a topic frequently discussed, especially from what we've heard in the popular press recently. How is Cisco ensuring that our resources as an industry remain secure?
Sure, I think it's a big responsibility for Cisco, but I also think there's partners like Grass Valley and their parent company Belden, right, that are doing some of that as well. So I'd be remiss to say that it's exclusively or mutually exclusively just on Cisco, because I think it's on all of us to think about security more. But as we move these networks to IP, we're introducing new threats, new ways to introduce different types of protocols and problems, right? Maybe that's a better way to say that can be introduced into these environments. And so, what a lot of people don't probably realize is that Cisco arguably has the largest security software and services portfolio of any vendor in the world. We have over 25% market share in a very fragmented security marketplace. And so that's something that we can leverage, that market expertise, that research, and that staffing and personnel, right? We can bring that to market. So it's one of the things we're showcasing here is a couple different, things that could be easily implemented to, secure the network, secure the device, look at threat management. I love the fact that we had one of our threat researchers, which by the way is a really cool title. I'd love to be a threat researcher. We had him speak at NAB this year, which is awesome because we're getting a ton of questions. And I think, whether it's Cisco doing this or your sister company Tripwire doing this or us doing this collaboratively, the industry needs this. They're asking a ton of questions. And again, I think it just is it continues to be a good differentiator for our partnership together with Grass Valley. But for the industry, they need it, they want it, and they're asking questions about it all the time.
So as we wrap up, for those who are here in Las Vegas at NAB but haven't been to your booth yet, where's your booth located?
So I'll make it really simple. South Hall, go halfway down and up the escalator. We're right off the escalator, midway through South Hall. So forget the numbers, it's just middle of the way, upper level of the South Hall. We'll have all this stuff showcased there.
Perfect, thanks Brian. And thanks for joining us from the Grass Valley booth here at NAB 2018.